Good. All right. Hey, welcome back. I've got so much candy, it's falling all over the place. So I'm giving out candy because you guys are hardcore. You've stayed till the end of the day. There you go. There we go. And I'm Canadian, and I don't want you to blame me for anything. Really, that's what it comes down to. So I'm not sure if you. I don't think you got one. Yeah, I'll just start with us. I'll just start with a blanket sorry, and then we can move on from there. That's good. Right, so my name is Patrick Gargano. I'm a content developer with the technical education team focusing on enterprise. Did a little chat earlier today about some of our SD-WAN courses. I'm talking now about ENCC. So you might have seen the announcement, I think maybe it was at Cisco Live in June, that we were going to be releasing 3 new certification exams, specializations at the CCNP level, all about cloud. And I was responsible for developing the course content for one of those 3, ENCC, which we just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, actually just before leaving for Cisco Live. And the whole course is gonna be available mid-December on Cisco U and through your learning partners if you want to take the instructor-led training as well. So anyways, just gonna have a little chat about this to wrap up the day and see what the course looks like, and to see if, where maybe your interests might be, if it's more on security or enterprise or service provider as well. We'll have a look at all 3. Yeah, so I'll just quickly give you a heads up about those 3 new certifications. I shouldn't call them certifications. They're exams. They're specializations, so they're at the CCNP level, but they are specializations within specific tracks. I'll just have a quick look with you at the blueprint, if you don't mind. So I'll just grab the ENCC exam topics just to show you what the exam focuses on. I took the exam, so the exam went live on September 20th. I took the exam in kind of late October just to see what it was like. And it was a pleasant experience. It wasn't ridiculous. And so I'll give you some ideas of what to expect. Anyone kind of thinking of taking that certificate, that exam, or? That's a really good question. So gentleman's asking if you can take it, or if you have to take it after the encore. They've removed all of those prerequisites a few years ago. So you can take any exam in any order that you'd like at any time. You could do this, then CCNA, then something else. It's really up to you, which one you want to do. Excellent. Perfect. Yes. So gentleman is just kind of confirming what hopefully you all know as well, which is if you do encore and do this specialization, you get your enterprise certification, your CCNP enterprise certification. And it's the same thing for the service provider track and data center and security and collaboration. You get one core and then any of the specializations. And if you have a look at our board on the other side, you've got the grocery list of all of them for all the different tracks as well. And then I'll just quickly show you what the actual content looks like that we've created that's available in Cisco U. We made the first track of the whole course available for free about a month ago on Cisco U, and it's still available for free until the middle of December, when the whole thing then goes live on Cisco U. So I'll just show you what that looks like, and then give you a quick demo of the lab environment as well. I spoke about labs earlier about SD-WAN, so I'll do the same thing here as well. Okay, so here we go. So these are the 3 new specializations. The top one there is the one for enterprise, which is the one that I worked on and that I want to talk to you about today. So ENCC, so enterprise cloud connectivity. Then we've got the second one, which is under the security track. Yep. So it's called, well, I call it SCAZT, but I guess it's SCAZT, SCAZT. Notice it's not a Z, it's a Z. That's very important. And so that one is all about security. Obviously, you're securing your applications and your user connectivity to those cloud applications. And then the third one is in the service provider track. So again, it's all about multi-cloud. So what does the service provider have to do with multi-cloud? Well, maybe the service provider is actually creating a multi-cloud service within their core network that they want to offer their customers. So this is that particular exam. So those are 3 new exams. ENCC is live now. It went live in September. SCAZT went live last week, a couple of weeks ago. So that one's available too. So you can take that exam now. And the service provider one is in February, I think, if I remember correctly. right, some people didn't get candy because you trickled in a little bit late, but I still like the fact that you're here, so I'm going to give you some candy. Who else? I don't have some candy. So in case you're wondering why I'm giving out candies, I brought a kilo of this from Canada. Was like a candy? No, he was good. And I don't want to bring it back home. They won't let me back in the country, I think, if I try to come back in. Anyway, so those are the three new exams. And as we've been talking about, one of those combined with the core exam in the same track would give you your CCNP Enterprise in that track, right? That makes sense? So far, so good? Okay, cool. So I've got 3 slides that are very similar, one for each one of those exams. And like I said, the one that I'm intimately familiar with is this one, the ENCC. So that's the one I really want to talk to you about the most, but I just want to let you know a little bit about the other 2 as well. So I'm going to jump out of that PowerPoint and I'm going to go on the Cisco website directly because it's really well done the way that you can kind of navigate through the exam blueprint and open each item and have a look at them instead of having it kind of a static thing on a slide. But this is a very high level overview of what the exam focuses on. So there's 5 domains. You know what? Let me just back up for a second. I want you to notice something about the titles of each one of these exams. Very, very different from any other exam that you might have taken up to today, which is that there's 2 verbs in the title of each one of these, which is very rare. Usually there's only one verb. Either it's implementing or designing. There's never been any other exams where they've had both in the same title. So that's a quick giveaway right away that within each one of these exams is going to be a chunk of knowledge about design. So designing what? Well, for ENCC, obviously, it's designing cloud connectivity. So I've got my enterprise network. I've got workloads in AWS. I've got workloads in GCP. How do I establish, not so much establish, how do I design a well-done, kind of robust, resilient connectivity to those workloads? For SCATs, for the security, it's, again, designing around the best practices for securing those connections to those cloud workloads. And same thing for service provider, right? So each one of those has a specific area where it focuses on design. It's a small percentage, okay? So in the exam, you shouldn't expect a ton of questions on, the models of cloud connectivity or the models of designing cloud connectivity. The most substantial chunk of the exam that you're gonna encounter are number 3 and number 4. So about 50% of the questions on the exam are going to be about IPsec and SD-WAN. So IPsec it's what we're using typically to connect to, let's say, AWS or Azure or GCP from our on-prem data center, from our branch locations. So you need to be really familiar with how to build those IPsec tunnels. And I want to just kind of point something out. I think I'll get to it in a second. Those IPsec tunnels, they're from a Cisco router, so an iOS XE device, to 2 options. Either a transit gateway, either something like a VPN endpoint in AWS, or another Cisco iOS XE router, right? So there's 2 different ways that we can deploy that, so we look at both. And then a big chunk of SD-WAN, obviously. So how to take your SD-WAN fabric and extend it out securely, obviously, to connect to AWS, to GCP, and Microsoft Azure. Notice I'm repeating those 3 all the time. It's because they're actually in the blueprint specifically. So, and then the last one is operation. It's like some diagnostics and some troubleshooting, right? So those are the 3. Those are the 5 major areas for that one. This is the SCATs. This is the security one. So this one has 6 domains. I'm not as familiar with this one. One of my colleagues, Pat Lau, is the content developer in charge of this one. Like I said, it's coming out soon. Actually, yes, special information, like secret information to share. The first track of that one is also available for free right now on Cisco U. So again, if you don't have a Cisco U free account, scan the QR code, get a free account. You'll have access to the first track of ENCC for free, and now the first track of SCATs also for free. So the security cloud connectivity one. So you can kind of see the focus for the SCATs exam. It's all about securing users and applications and data right from those branch and data centers to those cloud providers. And I'll be honest with you, it's a massive blueprint. Like, there's a lot. If you have a look at it, you're going to be like, okay, a lot of different technologies, like a ton of different technologies, different solutions around security, XDR, Umbrella, lots of stuff in this one. And then the last one is the service provider one. This one is a bit of a smaller blueprint, focusing, again, around what the service provider would need to know to build that, secure, resilient cloud connectivity for their customers, right? From their on-prem locations to those different cloud services. Right, and just to point out the dates at the top, right? So ENCC, the exam went live in September. The whole course on Cisco U is going live mid-December. Now you might be wondering, Patrick, your exam went live and you didn't have a course ready to get me ready for the, yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, it's as close as we could get it. Folks, designing and building a course, it's a big job. A lot of people were involved. And more specifically, the major challenge in all three of these exams and the three courses that we've created are the labs. You know the labs with Cisco courses. They're actual real labs. It's not simulations. So if you start imagining the lab setup and automation and everything that's required so that you can actually build a VPC in AWS, that you can build that IPsec tunnel to AWS, automate that, and then when you're done the lab, tear it down, clean it up, because you don't want to pay for that AWS router to be running until the end of time, right? So it's a huge endeavor, and really, really happy with the work we did on ENCC. It took a while, but we got there. So it's a really great, and I want to show you what that experience looks like as well in just a sec. So this one is live now. This one, like I said, just went live, right, November 20th. So if you're a security person, you've got your S-Core, and you're really interested in all of the kind of cloud security stuff, this would be the thing for you. And so as I said, the exam is live. You could do it this week if you want. Just walk up to the first floor, say, hey, I'd like to do an exam, and they'll sit you down. You can take the exam right there. And then the service provider one will be in January. And I think I was talking to my colleague, I think it's Jay. Yeah, my colleague Jay, who's running the show for this one, the content developer, and they're talking having the course ready for February, March, something around that area. Okay, so 3 new exams. We created 3 new courses, one for each one, right? So they map 1 to 1. So we didn't come up with funny new names. We weren't very original. The exam was called something. We called the course the same thing. So it's easier to figure out. You don't get lost along the way. And so, like I said, the one I want to talk to you the most about is the top one there, ENCC, but all 3 will be available on Cisco U over the next few months. Let me just go back to the blueprint for a second, because I did say I wanted to talk a tiny little bit about the ENCC blueprint. I don't want to do like a massive deep dive. I recorded a couple of videos for our YouTube channel where I did go into the blueprint in quite a lot more detail, but I just at least wanted to show you where to go to get them if you're not too familiar. So it's on the learningnetwork.cisco.com website. And this is what I quite like about the way, I mean, you can download a PDF and have it offline, but I really like the way that you can kind of open and navigate through the blueprint on the website. So you kind of click, and it gives you a nice little breakdown of the actual topics that will be covered in the exam. And the reason I'm kind of going on and on about the blueprint is because it's such a fundamental piece of information for 2 teams that don't talk to each other. We have the exam team who create questions and create the exams, and we have me on the other side, the content team, who are creating courses. We can't talk to each other. No idea what those, like when I took the exam a couple of weeks ago, I had no idea what the questions were going to be. But we're both working from this thing. And so if you know this thing, you're in the game. You're getting ready to visualize what's going to be on that exam, and you know what you need to do to get ready, right? So maybe you're an IPsec guru, but you know nothing about SD-WAN. Well, then you know that you need to focus in that area as you're studying for that exam, right? So as you can see, you're going to notice these names come out again and again and again. So those are the 3 cloud providers that we focus on for these 3 multi-cloud certifications or specializations. So this first topic here is all about, here's another tip of the day. Look at the verbs. The verbs are absolutely key to understanding the depth of knowledge that you need in those areas. If it says describe, there's not going to be a lab. There's not going to be some troubleshooting to do. It's describe. It's, can you talk to me about it? Explain it to me so I can understand it. So that's a describe level. So it's a very basic level, multiple choice questions, fairly straightforward stuff. So here we're talking about the different ways we can establish cloud connectivity over public connections, like an internet-based connection, so either through IPsec or SD-WAN. Have a look at private connectivity as well, for example, through MPLS or stuff like Megaport or Equinix. And then obviously when we talk about multi-cloud, we've got so many applications running in the cloud now. So we need to connect to them, optimize them, secure them. So this is all part of this in here. So that's that first 15%. I did warn you that each one of these exams would have a tiny little bit of design stuff in it. So there it is. And look at the verb here again. So this verb is a recommend verb, which is key when you're designing, right? If you're a network designer, you need to recommend a solution to me. So it's a great verb to kind of describe the task that you're trying to actually achieve here. So recommending connectivity models, quality of service, how we're going to set up that connectivity, compliance. So we talk about compliance, talk about security policies as well. So that's this little 15%. Like I said, it's the next two really that are key. 50% of the exam is all about IPsec and SD-WAN. So for IPsec, I talked a little bit about it earlier. You're going to be building IPsec tunnels, but from where to where? So I'm talking about from a Catalyst, whatever, Cat 8 kV router sitting in your data center on-prem, and you want to build an IPsec tunnel to AWS. What are the options there? Fundamentally, there's two. Either you spin up another Cat 8 kV in AWS and you build that IPsec tunnel there. The other option is to have a VPN gateway instead in Azure, GCP, AWS, and build a tunnel that way. So we cover both of those scenarios. Then we have a look at, obviously, routing. I need to be able to route traffic, route packets between my data center to AWS. I'm going to look at specifically OSPF and BGP stuff. So I'll give you a little heads up for those of you thinking of taking this exam. A bunch of questions on configuring BGP, configuring OSPF, redistribution even, right? So that's the kind of stuff that you can kind of expect. Have a look at the verb here. Now you know you're getting serious. It's a configure verb. You're going to have to do stuff. Same thing with the SD-WAN. It's another 25%. So again, it's pretty substantial. Here we're looking at three things specifically. We're going to look at using cloud on-ramp for multi-cloud, so building that cloud connectivity to those providers. We've got on-ramp for SaaS, and then we've got how to build policies. What kind of policies? Security policies, data policies, and obviously routing policies as well. And then briefly, I know I've been going on a little while now, 20% is what I typically call this one my troubleshooting domain. Notice the verb they've used. I typically use actually the verb troubleshoot when I'm creating items like that. They use diagnose. So same kind of idea. I think I was talking to the people who decided to use the verb diagnose in this case, and I asked them why. Why did you use diagnose instead of troubleshoot? And they said, we want them to figure out what the problem is. They don't need to fix it at this point. So that's why it's a diagnostic element instead of a troubleshooting element. You'll see troubleshoot. Anyone take the advanced routing exam in RC? No? If you have a look at that blueprint, troubleshoot appears very often. You're fixing stuff. Any questions about my little guided tour of the blueprint? Does that make sense? Hopefully you knew about the existence of this thing called an exam topic or exam blueprint. All the exams have them. You really need to have a look at this before you take a Cisco exam. That really tells you what you need to focus on in your learning to get ready. All right, let me go back to my slides quickly here. So we were talking about these three courses. So here we go. So I'm kind of still a bit old school. So I tend to call these things that we've developed for you guys courses, but I need to stop calling them courses because we call them learning paths now when we put them in Cisco U. But between you and me, a course and a learning path are the same thing. And I'll show you what that looks like in Cisco U in just a second if we've got a bit of time. So what we've done is, so trust me when I say this, if I went back to the blueprint, you would see that there were 5 domains in the blueprint. So what I've done here in the design for this course is I've created a track for each one of those specific domains. So it maps as close as I could to the actual exam blueprint. So that first track was that first one that we looked at, 15%, kind of describe. So it's fundamentals, right? It's about the basics of cloud connectivity, public cloud connectivity, private cloud connectivity, a bit of SaaS, So it's really like the basics. And as you can see, it's free right now for another 10 days or so, because in about 10 days, the whole thing goes live on Cisco U. And not only does it go live on Cisco U, do some of you still take or do take instructor-led training sometimes with learning partners maybe? So starting on the 15th of December, learning partners will be able to schedule and book classes for their customers to take using learning credits to take that training. So this first track, as I said, is available right now. The whole shebang is going to go live mid-December. So track 2 was that design track. So it's all about looking at compliance and policies and the types of cloud connectivity you would want to build. I want to point out something. So here's another question for you. Anyone here familiar with the design course in the enterprise track? It's called ENSLD. It replaced the old CCDA and CCDP, the design certification. Any guys? So what's really cool with that design course is that there's no like hands-on labs. It's a design course. So you're not asked to configure a router. You're asked to design solutions, a BGP solution, an OSPF solution, a layer 2 campus solution, a VPN solution. What I really liked about that course is that the labs are what we call like paper labs, like a case study. And so there's about, I don't know, not quite a dozen, but there's quite a few of them in the course. And I really liked that idea. And I thought, hang on a second, I have a design track here. Maybe we could do something like ENSLD, but in ENCC. So we did that. So we decided to create a paper lab, a case study, where you're asked to think through how a corporate network, an enterprise network, would start building out its cloud connectivity to AWS, Microsoft Azure, what would be involved with securing that, routing across that. So we did that, basically. So we created a lab, but it's not a configuration lab, it's a design lab for that second track. Then, if you remember that third and fourth item in the blueprint was the biggest ones, like 50%, right? So it is substantial. Have a look. Got like 4 labs in this one, and then 1, 2, 3 labs in this one. So this one was the IPsec track, where we looked at building IPsec tunnels from our on-prem, let's say, data centers to AWS and the different ways we could do that. And then this one over here is the SD-WAN stuff. Obviously, you can see it by the name. So we're looking at SaaS and policies. And one of the kind of new features, I mean, it's not super new, maybe in the last year or so, but one of the cool new features in SD-WAN is application quality of experience. So I'll just give you quickly what that means. When you're using a SaaS application, you want to monitor the performance of your fabric, of your network. You want to see what the experience is from the user all the way to AWS or all the way to Microsoft 365. And so you can enable some of these features within the SD-WAN fabric to get the most out of the performance of your transports when you're connecting to those services. And then the last one was that troubleshooting diagnostic one I was talking about. So in this one, what's kind of cool is we built some labs over here where you make stuff up, right? You configure stuff. And then when you get over here, we break it and see if you can fix it again. So it's really, so we go a bit beyond the diagnostic, right? We are getting you to fix it, but it's a bit more useful than just saying, yeah, there's a problem there and then walking away from it. So we've broken something and then you get to fix it. So far, so good? All right, everyone? Yeah, okay. This is what the lab topology looks like, and I'll just jump into lab really, really quickly because I'm so proud of them. Hopefully you'll be as impressed as I am with what we managed to pull off. But so if you were there earlier for my SD-WAN session from this afternoon, very similar kind of, I mean, it's a fairly straightforward topology. I got some branch locations, got a data center, got my cloud provider. We use a bit of Umbrella, a bit of Microsoft 365, obviously AWS. I'll be honest with you, 4 or 5 months ago when we started working on this project, the objective was to have a lab in AWS, a lab for Azure, and a lab for GCP. We're not there yet. It's a substantial amount of work in terms of getting that all sorted out, automating it, cleaning it up. The next one that we are going to be able to add is Microsoft Azure. So what's going to happen is we're going to release the course as it is now. And over the next couple of months, as we finalize that extra lab, it will just be added to the course as a bonus feature. You get another lab basically for that particular solution. The one thing I want you to notice is it's not, I mean, this might look like a lot of SD-WAN, and honestly it is, We've got a data center that's running pure SD-WAN. We've got a couple of branches running pure SD-WAN. Our controllers are over here. But you can have a look at this little guy over here on the far right. This one is running a Cat 8KV in autonomous mode, right? A traditional router. And so we use that one for that third track where you're building just traditional IPsec tunnels. So we build that tunnel from this router to AWS in a few different ways. And then when we get to the next track for SD-WAN, kind of put him aside, and then we focus on the connectivity for the other locations. Let me see if I can just show you what that ends up looking like. Hang on a second. So that's this one. Bear with me. I'm just trying to grab. There it is. Okay. Oh yeah, I just wanted to show you also what this looks like in Cisco U. So I just logged in before the session started into Cisco U, and at the top there you can see I typed ENCC and I hit enter, and the first result is the ENCC learning path. It says special release because that first track is available for free right now. I'm just going to click on it to show you what that looks like. Oh, okay. Last time it was giving me a hard. Here we go. So the first track is available for free. The whole thing goes live in the middle of December, so this will be all enabled. And you can kind of see right now, right, there's how many courses built into the learning path and all this. So this will get kind of fleshed out a little bit more as people access it in December. So each one of the tracks has multiple courses within it. And then once you launch a course, then you have access, obviously, to the labs that are within that specific course. But what I wanted to show you, and I'm just going to see if I can, yeah. So I just went to one lab, which happens in the fourth track. It's an SD-WAN lab. And it's about deploying connectivity from that network you saw and establishing an AWS workload. So what we do is we spin up 2 Catalyst 8KVs in AWS and then build 4 VPNs to those specific devices from that on-prem location. And so what is amazing with our labs, especially this course, is that they're always on. You don't have to wait 5 minutes. You don't have to wait 10 minutes. You just click and you're in the lab and you can start working. So I've already launched it. And then you can see there's different devices that I can connect to within the device. There's obviously the scenario, the topology, you've seen it, job aids, is all of the IP information. I can go back to my jump host. I can toggle that. I've already opened it. It's over here. What we've done is the jump hosts are Windows devices. So you RDP to these devices and do all of your work from there. And so typically for this course, you would do work from vManage. So I think you can kind of see there's a shortcut here, right, to access vManage. But the other thing that's really impressive, and I kind of showed people earlier on the SD-WAN session we have a page where we've got a bunch of widgets which allow you to access different services. So the services you need for this particular course, we do some stuff with Umbrella, and we do some stuff with AWS. And so when you start the lab, now again, I kind of cheated. I did it before you guys got here because it takes about 4 or 5 minutes. There's a button here. It says kind of like provision lab or something. And this automates the creation of a bunch of stuff in AWS, VPCs, to allow you to then spin up the routers in AWS itself. So it takes about 4 or 5 minutes. While it's doing that, you can go do something else, have a cup of tea, or start working on the rest of the lab. And then once it's done, you get actually the access keys and the secret information you need to put into vManage for your multi-cloud connectivity. And then you can click Go to Cloud. Then you know what's going to happen here. This is a real AWS account that was for real, provisioned for you in reality. You access it, you can build the VPCs, the transit gateways, the customer gateway, the internet gateway, all the stuff that you need, build the routing table to actually get it working for you. So I'm in the wrong region, that's why it's saying access denied here. So this is basically giving you the portal that you need to then be able to do this lab, build those IPsec tunnels that I was talking about earlier. How are we doing for time? I think we're going to wrap this up here, right? Is there something else I wanted to say? I think that's it. So key takeaways for me is the fact that this whole learning path is going live in a couple of weeks. There's some content available for free to have a look at now. First track of ENCC, first track of the security one as well. So have a look at that. And then if you've got that Cisco U subscription, you'll be able to access the whole thing when it goes live and leverage all the labs that I'm talking about here as well. Any questions? A lot of stuff that I wanted to share with you. Sorry. Just the first track is free right now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, listen, thank you very much, everyone, for coming by. I appreciate it's the last session. Oh, I've got a giveaway, and I've got some candy also I need to get rid of. Everyone get a ticket. And what are we giving away? Oh, okay. Yes. Fire TV. It's okay. Even if you don't win this, you'll still get candy. So it's like it's okay. No. Okay. Wait a second. Anyone going to Foo Fighters tonight? No? Okay. Last 3 digits, 199. 199. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Tomorrow I'm doing an SD-WAN bootcamp, about 30 minutes of intensive SD-WAN, just kind of covering the basics, how it works. I'm also running a lab on Friday. It's only for those of you that are still around late in the day. It's a routing, switching, troubleshooting lab. It's kind of first come, first serve. You can register for it, see if you can get in, have some candy. Thanks for coming out. Cheers. Thanks. You good? How about another one? You good? All right. Yeah. Let me just turn this off so we're not talking.